Well, let's discuss some of those ideas now with Daniel Costello, who's a US business and economics commentator. He's also the chief executive of Titan Advisors. Daniel, morning to you.
Morning.
This debate between austerity or growth is a very familiar one to Europeans. Is it the same debate, just on the other side of the Atlantic?
I mean, it is. It's very similar. I mean, these cuts that are being proposed and are required are an enormous $600 billion, and they would have an enormous backlash on the economy if they were allowed to go through. So it's a very similar discussion.
OK, so where are we? Because the temptation is always to think it'll go to the last minute and then a deal will be done.
I mean, we have to remember many of these are the same legislators who were allowed the U.S. government to almost default in its debt for the first time just a few months ago. So that being said, I do think that they'll come to some kind of compromise, considering the stakes that are at play here. It is likely that in the background, in the next few weeks, very quickly, Republicans and the White House will come together with some kind of agreement. You know, President Obama is looking for what he's calling a grand bargain. He said privately that he would agree to some entitlement cuts, including around Medicare, if the Republicans come to the table and agree to some tax revenues. My suspicion is they will come to some kind of agreement like that in the short term.
And where do you think the US will go, Daniel, long term in terms of growth or austerity? What will the balance be?
I mean, these are global discussions and global debates, and it's very hard to know exactly what that looks like. I mean, in the short term, I do think that Congress will deal with this fiscal cliff, and we'll have some resolution with that. And underlying, the U.S. economy is showing sustained growth. You have consumer confidence at a 4-year high. You have job growth, moderate job growth. You have manufacturing picking up. And so you do have a pretty broad-based recovery happening in the U.S. I think that will continue. Certainly, we'll need to see if the fiscal cliff is resolved. But I do think the U.S. economy is showing continued and sustained growth.
And Daniel, briefly, when we see the markets open a little later on, what are you expecting?
I believe that many of these stock markets have priced in an Obama win in recent days. There may be a little bit of a bump, but much of that, I think, has been priced in because the late week polling in last week pretty much indicated Obama was likely to win.
OK. Daniel Costello, thank you very much.